So a couple years ago, I made this happen.
Just bought a Cadillac. Put some D's on that bitch. Just bought a Cadillac. Put some D's on that bitch. Just bought a Cadillac. Got me a Cadillac. Oh, I got me a Cadillac car. Yes, I got me a Cadillac.
I manifested a Cadillac, y'all. Stick around, because I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it and how you can do it too. Or manifest whatever the thing is that you want. Stick around, we're going to talk about it coming up. Hello and welcome, Stephanie here. If this is your first time watching one of my videos or seeing me or meet me, nice to meet you. I hope you like it here. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how I manifested a Cadillac car, whole car. And I'm going to give you all the steps, the little tips, the tricks, the tools on how you can do it too. Not necessarily a Cadillac unless that's what you want, but for whatever it is that you want, these rules apply. So here we go, let's jump right into it. We're gonna start at the very beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning.
A few years ago, I needed a car. So the car that I had that was like my old faithful is this little silver Honda. I love that car. That was like my pride and joy, but it started giving up on me. It was older car, and it was just like, you know what, girl, I'm done. I'm tired. I can't do no more. And it just clonked out on me, like done. Like, I'm not driving anymore. I don't care where you need to go. So at that point, I like absolutely needed a new car. Like, I couldn't hold off any longer. And prior to that, I mean, I knew that the car was on its last leg and it was getting ready to break down. So I kind of already had in my mind that I was most likely going to have to get a new car. So I started budgeting for it and things like that, because I knew that eventually at some point the car that I had was just gonna go and I was gonna need a new one. And it ended up doing that before I was ready for it. So car clunked out. I had absolutely no transportation. I was borrowing my mom's car just to get me to and from work, teaching classes, and just that, I just didn't like that at all. But nonetheless, I had no car of my own, and I needed a car. So I started looking up cars that were in my price range, because I did have a budget and I wasn't able to spend a ton of money on a new car. So I started looking up cars, and I kind of found one car that I really liked that was in my price range. But then I remembered maybe about a year prior to me doing this, I had gone to a couple dealers and I was test driving cars. And I test drove this Cadillac that at the time I really liked it, but it wasn't in my budget, it wasn't in my price range. So I didn't get it, I couldn't get it. So then fast forward, so now I'm in a place where I need a car. I have no car at all. So any car I get is gonna be amazing. And I made up in my mind, once I remembered about the Cadillac, I was like, I really like that car. And then I, went online and started looking up pictures of it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I remember now. Yep, I like this car. This is the car I want. Here's the thing though, the car was still not within my price range and not within my budget, but I didn't even think about that. I decided at that moment, I'm not even going to factor in cost, price, whatever the case may be. This is the car that I want. This is the car that I'm going to get. So that's the first thing that I did, was I made up in my mind, I was going to get that car. No matter what, I was going to get that car. So I went on to Google and I started looking up pictures of the car, and I made like this collage, I guess. I made like a collage on my phone of the car. Like, I had pictures of the car and the interior and all that kind of stuff, and I put it all in a collage, and I made it the screensaver on my phone. Right, boom, there you go. So there's another step. So that every time I open my phone, I click my phone, check the time, answer a call, whatever I was doing with my phone, I was always looking at that car. Like, it was a reminder. And every time I looked at the car, I was just reminded of how amazing it would feel to have this car. And so my focus became this car. And anytime I thought about getting a new car, I thought about this particular car, this specific car. So I had it on my screensaver. I decided that I wanted it, and every night before I went to bed, like as I was falling asleep, I would visualize myself in the car. So I would just imagine myself driving this particular car, going to the dealership, buying the car, driving past people going, hey y'all, like, you see my new car? All of this stuff I visualized in my mind pretty much every single night, like all the time. And it wasn't like a chore. It was, I did it because it felt good. I did it because I wanted to do it. I did it because, you know, it made me happy. And I would think about the car and I would visualize the car. And I'll tell you this, I've actually never told anybody this part of this story before, but one of the things that I used to do, true story, on my way to work every day, there was this church that was like on the street that I drove down. And I guess pastor, I'm assuming it's the pastor because the car was always parked in like the pastor spot. It was the car that I wanted. It was the Cadillac that I wanted. He owned it. And every time I drove by, I would just briefly, like in the amount of time it took me to drive past on that street, I would imagine me meeting the pastor and him just like really liking me and me talking to him and telling him like all my grand plans to like save the world and the universe, and him going, you know what, I have this Cadillac here, how about I just give it to you? Like, even though that seemed like a far-fetched idea, I still would like imagine that, because who knows, right? Like, you never know how I could have gotten that car. And that's what I kept in my mind. Like, I knew that this was the car that I wanted. I knew that I didn't necessarily have the money to afford that particular car, but I didn't limit myself in ways that I could get the car. And so one of the ways would have been that the guy who actually owned the car could have just given it to me. So yeah, that's actually kind of funny. But so I did that, right? I would just imagine it and visualize it and think about it a lot, and in a positive way, and it would make me feel good, and I would look it up all the time. And so I kept checking online, and I kept looking to see what dealers sold the car, because I was gonna get it pre-owned, and not a lot of dealers sold it, and every place that I looked, it still, like, that price point it still wasn't in my budget. But I just kept doing all the things that I just knew to do. So finally, one day, just randomly, I'm laying in bed and I get online and I go to look the car up. So coincidentally, I stumbled upon a dealership where my mom had got her car from, like a few years prior to this, the car that I was driving temporarily. And so I looked that up, and they had a posting, like a brand new posting, like literally, when I checked, they had probably just posted it, probably 5 minutes before I looked, they had posted it. It was just like a kind of a stock photo, and then they had just the name of the car, and I don't remember if they had the price up there yet or not, but I didn't care because I was like, oh my god, there's the car that I want. So I called the dealer. No, they did have the price, because I remember that's probably the reason why I was so excited and I jumped on it, because it was in my budget. And I'm like, what? Like, this car is worth way more than that. But anyway, so I call the dealer like immediately, and I'm like, yo, y'all got this car? And he's like, yeah, like somebody just traded it in. Like, they just bought a new car, so they traded this in. It's not even like really ready yet. We just threw the listing up. And I was like, okay, so what's about to happen is I'm going to come up there in the morning and I'm gonna get the car. So don't even worry about, like, go ahead, clean it, do it, all that stuff y'all need to do, but don't even worry about sticking those stickers on it, putting it on. Nah, I'm coming to get the car. And so long story short, next morning, went down there, bing, bang, boom. Everything worked out perfectly. Monthly payments in my budget, down payment in my budget, like everything just lined up magically. And that's how I got the car. And the funny thing, I actually had to wait like a week to drive the car home, because that's how like quick it was. They were like, the person literally just traded it in. Like, we still have to check it for, I don't know, whatever the car people got to do, but they still had to do all that stuff. They had to clean it and blah, blah, blah. But the car was already sold. I think I test drove it like a little bit, but I knew I wanted the car, and things happened so magically that there was no doubt in my mind that this was set up for me to get this car. So there you go. That's the story of how I manifested my car. And so all of those things, all the things that I did, apply in every scenario, in every situation. Whatever it is that you want, you go through that same process, right? First, you have to set the intention and the belief that this thing is attainable and you will get it, you will receive it, and don't put limitations on yourself, right? So like in my case, if I would have put the fact that I had a specific budget and this car was out of that budget, I never would have manifested the car, because I would have put a limitation on myself, which would have stifled my belief in my ability in being able to get this car. So I cut off all the I was limitless when it came to how I could go about getting this car. I thought about it all the time. I visualized it all the time. And when I visualized it, I felt good about it. And that's a big key when it comes to manifesting, is how do you feel? So if you're visualizing something and you don't really feel fantastic about it, stop visualizing until you can think about the thing and it feels like absolutely amazing to you. Then go ahead and pick the visualizations back up and think about it and all that kind of fancy stuff. And then just rinse and repeat, right? You just do that all the time. And then just kind of let it go. Like, don't really, when you're not thinking about it, don't think about it. You know what I mean? Like, when you're not visualizing, when you're not, like, just don't stress about it. I'll put it in that way. Don't stress about it. Don't harp on it. Don't like nag at it. Just trust. Letting go and trusting are kind of the same thing. So not letting go, let it go as far as like don't want it no more, but let it go as far as, you know, just trust it. Like if you go to a restaurant and you order your food, you sit back and chill. Like you don't pace back and forth and go, oh my God, where's my food? Oh my God, where's my food? Like you wait, you put your order in, you just chill because you trust that your food's gonna come out. So it's the same way. You're placing an order and you just chill. Like you think about it, you visualize how amazing you'll feel when you have it, and then you just let it go and you trust that it's on its way and it comes to you in amazing ways. Like the universe orchestrates things in the most amazing ways, better than you could even fathom or think of. So for you to sit around and try to think about how something's going to come to you, you're still like, you're putting too many limits on it. Just let it go. Because in my case, when it comes to this car, everything lined up just perfect. I mean, the exact car that I wanted, someone just happened to decide that day or whatever day that, and I don't know the people who traded the car in, but who knows, they may have just randomly woke up one morning and said, you know what, I want a new car, let's go trade this car in. For some reason, I'm just feeling like trade, because it's still a good car, like they didn't need to trade it in. Maybe they just wanted a new car. Maybe they had been needing a new car and then been putting it off, and then finally just one day, because something came over them, right? Because I was putting energy out there, that's what came over them. To go to the dealer and trade their car in. They traded the car in at that, and then coincidentally, it's like the same dealer that my mother had gotten her car from, so we already had a good relationship with the dealership, right, through her, and so it just, everything worked out perfectly. They had the price marked down. They sold that car for like a lot less than what they could have sold it for, and it wasn't this big. Like that was for a reason. Like I don't even ever question that. That was for a reason. That was so I could afford it, so I could get it. So everything will work itself out and it will line itself up. Those are things that you don't have to worry about when it comes to manifesting. All that stuff is taken care of. All you have to do is just be ready to get it. Believe you can get it, think about it, feel good about it, and know, and just be ready to receive it. Boom, bam, that's it. There you go. Cadillacs for everybody. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys for this video. You can go ahead and test out those techniques on some stuff, some big stuff, some small stuff, some whatever stuff you want. And I hope that this was of value to you. If you feel that it was, or any other video that I have posted here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can share this content, like it, give me some comments, tell me how y'all feeling, what y'all out there manifesting. And until the next video, see you when I see you.